But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
You did. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
You know what, Rob? I cannot wait until the next national team season so that we can do some more interviews and get some more sound bites, and we can get rid of me just fumbling the crap out of that opening scene there. Is that on your shirt? Yeah. I could have said so many things, and I just
every time we play it, I laugh at your reaction because I know you hate that you started over it. But there's no way that the 9x9 is going to come up that organically again. There's no way.
Someone will do it for us. Someone who loves this show, Eric Shoji, I'm looking at you. If you're watching under a ghost name, will do it for us. Well, Rob said it. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content, not only on the internet but literally anywhere. It is episode 46. It's December 6th, and Rob, we are now into the Christmas season. Is now or holiday season, if you will. My name is Everett Delorme. That's as always is Rob St. Clair from Chicago. Rob, we're into the holiday season, and that means a lot of things. First and foremost, that means the NCAA tournament. But before we get into that, it also means the announcement of where the VNL Finals will be in 2023. So let's just jump into it because we have some breaking news. 2023, the VNL Finals will be heading to Arlington, Texas. I have to say, Rob St. Clair, USAV is really got to go like two for two in terms of locations this year. Take it away for us, buddy.
Wow. Well, first of all, this is awesome. This is great news. And we did maybe infer that both VNL hosting sites were going to be in Arlington, Texas for the women and Gdansk, Poland for the men, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Not really anything to talk about there, honestly. We talked about that a couple weeks ago here on the show when the main round of VNL hosting sites and schedule came out. We were talking about the rumors surrounding where the finals were going to be, and somebody brought up in the chat at the time that there was a very real chance. Well, I brought up that the women's finals might come to the U.S., but somebody in the chat brought up Arlington, Texas specifically. And sure enough, it's official. July 12th, which is a Wednesday, through the 16th. So it's a 5-day tournament in 2023 in the summer. That's where the VNL Finals will be in Arlington, Texas in the United States. I am thrilled. I'm really happily surprised. I'm fascinated about what was the turnaround? What happened to USA Volleyball between last year sending week one of the women's VNL to the place that shall not be named, which I'll go ahead and say it, Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana, the most embarrassing place on planet Earth to host international volleyball. What happened between that and bringing men's VNL to Anaheim in the regular round and then the women's VNL finals to Arlington, Texas? I don't know what happened in the USA Volleyball organization in between then and now, but boy, am I happy about it. I think this is awesome, and it has potential.
Rob, you know what? I'd really like to think that they just play that clip of you getting mad at them over and over at lunch hour. You know, instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, like at the beginning of the day, like you guys do in school, which is one of the weirdest things.
Not anymore. That ended about 10 years ago. But I hope that they've been doing that in the USCV offices in Colorado Springs, just looping me yelling at them about this time last year when Shreveport, Bossier City was announced. Yeah, no more of that. It's crazy. So we already talked about the Anaheim announcement for the men. We don't need to talk about that anymore. But Arlington, Texas for the women, I like this a lot. I really, really like this. So we know the arena. It's going to be played in an arena called College Park Center. This is on the campus of UT Arlington, the University of Texas at Arlington, one of the big University of Texas satellite campuses. Arlington, by the way, for non-Americans, is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So the big city of Dallas has a decently big city called Fort Worth to the west of it, and Arlington is right in the middle of the two. So you've got a major international airport, unlike Shreveport, Bossier City. So this arena, it hosts all UT Arlington indoor sports, men's, women's basketball, women's volleyball. It's also the home of the Dallas area WNBA team, which is cool. So it's got a nice women's sports precedent there. It seats about 7,000, which I honestly think is kind of perfect for an
Do
arena.
we not think that's like a little too small though? Like think about it. The men's going to be played at the Ergo Arena in Gdansk, and that's like
Yeah.
14,000. Like that's going to be double the size. Like even Ottawa VNL is going to be held at the TD Place, and that's like what, like 10 to 12,000.
Is
Like
it really that big at TD Place? Wow.
Oh, it's definitely over 10. It's one of the big arenas that we have in the CHL, which is the junior hockey league here in Canada. But yeah, it is about that size. You can't really tell because they do curtain off that upper set of seats. But yeah, I think it's about 12K. So 7K enough? Going to be enough for the VNL finals? Because one thing I do want to add is that like Texas is volleyball crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
Women's volleyball is absolutely massive in Texas, and we already know is big in Texas. So 7,000 going to be enough? Put this in Cowboys Stadium. Why not?
Well, a couple reasons why not, and that's a totally fair point because elsewhere around the world, 7,000 might not be enough to fit the demand of the people that want to come watch the
Philippines.
match.
You know?
Oh yeah, for sure. The Philippines would triple that attendance, no problem. You got to think back though, Everett, to the last time the VNL finals were hosted in the United States, which was in Chicago. And that arena here in Chicago is tiny. Like that arena on the campus of UIC seats 4,000 at most. We couldn't even fill half of that arena. And it's so much so that they had to like black out most of the arena so that you couldn't tell on TV how empty the stands were. So that's the precedent that we have in the United States for USA Volleyball hosting the VNL Finals, which is one reason I'm surprised they're even bothering to come back. It's not about how many people you can stuff in the arena or the capacity of the arena. It's about how full by percentage of a capacity the arena can be. That really makes it feel more electric and more intense. So if you can put a smaller arena out there and pack it to the brim, that energy will feel a lot better in the house and will look a lot better on TV than if you had a 15,000 seat arena and only put 5,000 in there. It would look different, even though the number of bodies in the house would be pretty similar. So that I actually like this. Now, and the last thing I want to say about this is just like we said, Everett, when we talked about VNL, like the host sites being announced the last time, the one thing that we can guarantee is that USA Volleyball will fail to market this event correctly.
100%.
They will fail.
Without a doubt.
And so every one of you needs, if at all possible, if you live in North America, or especially if you live in the United States, get yourself to these games. Buy tickets when they come out. We'll tell you when, because USA Volleyball won't. We'll tell you when they come out. We'll encourage you all to get there, be there in person to watch the best women's volleyball in the world. It is the best tournament happening in 2023 for the women. Get there, put your butts in those seats so that things like this continue to come to North America and the U.S. specifically. We know that USAV will fail to market this event. We know that. So we will help and get you all there, if at all possible. Get there in July, in the second week of July, to get to this event. We will be there if we can be there, and you should too.
I mean, I think so far we're planning to be there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so perfect. Anaheim's the week before. Hell, we could even road trip. You want to rent a convertible and road trip from LA to Dallas, Texas?
No,
actually,
I do not want to do that.
That sounds terrible. But
yeah, that's the thing is we go straight from Anaheim, like that last Sunday, like July, I think 9th. Straight from that, 3 days later is the start of VNL Finals on the women's side in Texas. So we're staying in the U.S. for like 2 whole weeks.
Yeah. But what I'm actually going to one up you, Rob, because if you're watching the show, you're already like the top 1% of the 1% of volleyball fans. Like
True.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So I want you, if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area, if you're in the state of Texas, if you're anywhere near, if you have any intention whatsoever to go to this game or go to any of these games at any point, then be a leader and bring other people with you. Right? Bring your volleyball friends with you.
Yeah.
How many volleyball friends do you have you don't give a shit about volleyball? This is a way to make them to give a shit about volleyball by showing them at the best level, one of the highest like possible stages that we can play. So be a leader and get tickets. Get tickets for your friends. Get tickets for your family members. It's like, yeah, like grab your boyfriend, grab your girlfriend, like whatever it is and go. Like that's fine. But be a leader, and like we know it in advance. Start telling people about it, sharing information about it, right? There's only one way to make more volleyball come to North America, and that's by making it a viable option. And so far it hasn't been, right? Otto's done a great job at building that up of a viable option, but it still hasn't been fantastic. I'd like to see it be more full, right? I see legendary videos from the University of Texas where that stadium is absolutely rammed. I've gotten chills by seeing Instagram videos. Texas, come out for me. Like come out for this event. You have one of the best teams in the world. Go out to this event and bring your friends with you, right? That's all I ask. If you watch this show, be a first level adopter, be a leader, bring your friends to the games, because it will not disappoint them, and they will not have a bad time.
Absolutely. Very well said. If you're watching, you've got to get yourself there and be a leader in your community, get everyone else there. This is like hype up to get people to vote in the election. This is easier and better and more fun than voting in an election. It is
way better than elections.
Yeah, way better.
100%.
We say all the time, if you've never seen national team level volleyball in person before, you have no idea what you're missing out on. You've got to get to this. And I know the atmosphere in the South in particular, not even just Texas, but even Nebraska is not overwhelmingly far away. And that's maybe the best individual like women's volleyball community in the country in terms of viewership. Like they pack 10,000 into every Nebraska women's game. And University of Texas in Austin, which is only a couple hours away from Dallas Fort Worth, is not that far behind them, like Everett said. I'm looking forward to huge crowds at this game, but it's not going to be because USA Volleyball markets it. Everyone else is going to have to figure it out. So get yourself to this and get there if you can, and we'll see you there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun summer. 3 separate VNL events in North America, Rob. I'm feeling a bit of a road trip. I'm feeling a bit of a fun time in this one.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm totally ready for it. And if you want to go to the men's VNL finals, just like we predicted when the news came out a few weeks ago, we heard the rumor that the men's finals would be headed to Gdansk, Poland, and sure enough, that is confirmed. So a week after the women's, July 19th through the 23rd, will be the men's VNL finals in Poland. I mean, this is a good move. There was only one European stop, or no, 2. There was France and the Netherlands.
Yeah, there's that 1 week, yeah.
And week 2 on the men's side. So it's only right that the finals goes back to Europe and Poland in particular. We know that they can throw these events. We know the fans will show up. There's not really that much to talk about here. This is a good move. This is absolutely a good move.
I have 2 sides to this. First and foremost, as you said, good move. Poland is going to make it amazing. That Gdansk arena, the Ergo Arena, I believe is fantastic. It's truly like the pinnacle of volleyball. Great job, Poland. You're awesome. We love you. If you want to bring us out, I'll happily jump on a plane from Texas to Poland, without a doubt. So let's get your people to contact our people, which is really just us, and let's get this moving. But second of all, Rob, do we have a worry here that maybe the finals locations are getting a little bit stale because we have a lack of countries that can actually properly, adequately support volleyball events, right? Like it's the rotation is like basically Poland, and then we got Italy. Sometimes Brazil gets in there. Sometimes, sometimes we get USA. When is Japan going to host the VNL finals? That's what I want to know.
We don't need to give any more VNL to Asia. We already talked about this. They have an overwhelming percentage of it, and especially on the women's side. But I care more. I'm not at the point to complain about going back to the same places. If a place has proven that it can host the VNL finals and do it right, I have no problem going back there. We don't have enough good volleyball host sites in the world. We don't have enough countries and governing bodies and fan bases that really figure it out. And I will never get mad about going to Poland. Never get mad about that. Their fans are amazing. They actually get it, and they will show up for games even when Poland is not playing to some degree. So I'll take it. I'll never complain about that.
100%. It's like playing hockey in Canada. It's just always going to be a win.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on from that. Stoked for it. UT, Texas. We're going to be there. Let's go.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm thrilled. It's going to be an awesome 2-week sequence from Anaheim to that. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited for American volleyball, but we've really got an opportunity here. We've got to do this right.
100%.
You want to move on to some international ball?
Absolutely. Let's move on to some Italian volleyball, from Texas barbecue to Italian pasta, heading over to the SuperLega here, and kind of a pedestrian week in the SuperLega on the men's side as we see those scores. Milano's still playing without a middle blocker. Not that you'd know anything from the broadcast. Don't mention it at all.
Oh,
why not, right?
God,
why not talk about one of the most impressive things that's happening in the volleyball world right now? Super overrated. Piacenza all over Cisterna. Verona back to their winning ways over Siena. Modena taking down Monza. That was kind of a bit of a surprise for me based on how those two teams, Trentino all over Padova, and of course Perugia taking down Taranto. Rob, where do you want to start? What do we want to talk about here?
I mean, there's not really that much to talk about. Perugia is better than Toronto, obviously. Trentino's better than Padova, obviously. Verona's better than Siena, obviously. Piacenza versus Cisterna, we can maybe talk about a little bit because those two teams have been streaky. But I really want to talk about Modena versus Monza because mostly because of who we didn't see on the court on the Monza side. No Stephen Marr in this one, and he's not even, he didn't even dress, didn't play at all. Everett, tell us anything that we know about the Stephen Marr situation right now.
So it looks like reports coming out of Monza right now are saying that Stephen Marr was declared injured, saw team doctors, and team doctors declared him good to go. But he disagreed with that and declared himself not good to go, and opted out of playing, in which case Monza actually suspended him for the match and didn't even have him anywhere. And it looking like he might be facing a fine, which to me is quite interesting, Rob. You would think that, this is like this isn't Kawhi Leonard. Like, if a guy says he's injured, give him a chance. Like, give him 1 week off. You're going to suspend him anyways. You really had, like, it literally had the exact same outcome. Now everyone's just more upset. Like, this is just terrible management by Monza. This is what I talk about. Good clubs win and bad clubs find a way to get their own way. This is exactly what's happening right here, in my opinion.
This is the most volleyball headline of all time. Force a player to play through an injury because we already run our athletes into the ground, and a player, we claim to have better knowledge of a player's own body and physical condition than the player himself. This is nuts. Why, if a player says he's not fit to play, because we heard that Marr got injured in the Padova game a week ago, and he said that he wasn't going to go in this one, and they said, "You're good to go. You better go." He said, "Nope." And so they said, "Okay, you're not going," which is exactly what he wanted in the first place. It's ridiculous. Why are we running our athletes into the ground like this? Why are we not trusting them about their own physical condition? And why are we not just giving a guy a game off if he says he needs a game off? It's the most volleyball headline of all time. Makes no sense. Didn't need to be done this way. And sure enough, I mean, Monza without him didn't really play very well. Who knew?
No, they had, who was that? The kid like Martinelli or something?
Luca Martilla. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he was all right, but it was obvious. It was very clear that you'd think like Engapeth and Bruno would be like, "Oh, there's this rookie out here," instead of Stephen Marr. Yeah, let's just pick on him like he's like strawberries or whatever. I'm sure they feasted on him, but
he hung in there okay passing. His attacking numbers were not good at all.
I watched that game and it was just, he didn't pass the eye test. He's somewhat, but not great. It's ridiculous because especially when you look at that trio outsides that they have at Monza with Grosjean, Daviskiba, and him. Grosjean and Daviskiba didn't have the summer that Marr did.
Right.
I know that Canada didn't make a deep run into the World Championships, but at least they went to the World Championships. Like Grosjean and Daviskiba weren't there, right? And then furthermore, like neither of them played VNL either. Right. So it's early in the season. Give the dude a week off. You're playing what's the problem? And then on top of that, you're just going to add a fine. Like this is garbage volleyball right here. Like, and we're not talking about an athlete who's making millions of dollars, maybe 6 figures. I would like to think Stephen Marr is making 6 figures, but
Stephen Marr is clearly worth 6 figures. So.
Yeah, but it is volleyball. I mean,
it is volleyball. This is a dumb headline. I don't like this. Whatever. Modena wins. Good for Modena. They're in second place in the standings. We can look at the standings again just to highlight the absolutely ridiculous gap between one and literally everybody else. It is crazy. Crazy how much better Perugia is than everybody else. 13 points better.
Yeah, it's not surprising in any way, shape, or form when you look at that roster that they've collected, and we've talked about it time and time again. We don't need to go to over it, but I'm just ready for what is likely to be a fist fight throughout the rest of the season. Because when you're looking at what are the points separating, like Toronto in 10th, it's crazy. Padova started so good, and they've just been on a landslide since it's been. But Toronto in 10th to Modena in second is 11 points, which is absolutely nothing. That's like a handful of games.
And only 3 wins. Yeah, it's only 3 wins because Modena and Trentino have a match in hand. It's wild. It's we talk about it every week. This is an extremely competitive league other than the top team, which is awesome. That makes every match extremely fun to watch.
One thing I do want to address here, Rob, though, quickly going to the chat, Ronnie coming in clutch with a Simone update.
I was just about to get to this.
Who hasn't been around with Piacenza. Back problems. He doesn't know when he's going to come back because the doctors don't know how it is as yet. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Lenny Simone, although he's the best middle blocker in the world, is not young. He's 34 at least. He maybe even 35, and we know he really barely played over the summer. He didn't play at all at Norsica's, and he didn't play much at the at Challenger Cup, which Cuba won to get into VNL. And then he didn't look overwhelmingly good to start the season for Piacenza. That's not entirely his fault. His connection with, or lack thereof, connection with Antoine Brizard has been pretty well documented. But again, caution, especially with a player like that. You've got to be careful, especially with a player like that. And back injuries are weird. They don't heal very well. It's very difficult to play through them. So, Ronnie, thank you for the update. We will look to you to continue to update us on how our boy Robert Lenny Simone is doing. But a bright spot for both Cuba and Piacenza is that Romy Alonso has looked great.
Exactly.
He's looked great playing in Simone's place. 7 for 9 attacking against Cisterna with 2 blocks.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew that Alonso was going to have an impact on this team at some point. We didn't really see him. I didn't get to see him at the Pan Am Cup. Didn't really get to see him at the World Championships, and has taken his time getting into this roster. But kind of perfect timing. And you know that Simone is going to be right there helping him every step of the way, because Alonso's actually, when Simone isn't around, Alonso is the captain of the Cuban national team.
Right.
And you can tell when he's on that team too. He's a fiery presence. He's really passionate, and he gets in your face. He doesn't have the physical talents of those other guys. He's maybe 6'6". Like he's an undersized middle, but he's fast and he's physical. Not as technical and as precise as Kokonowski, but kind of plays a similar type of game. So he's been someone who's been fantastic for Piacenza. And I mean, we also see that Ronnie, that Simone is going to be playing VNL Norsica Championships and Olympic qualifying for Cuba. You want to go to Norsica Championships too?
Depends on where they are, but yeah, sure, I'm down.
Women's is in Canada, men's is in the US.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. USA Volleyball, man. What happened to this organization?
I think what you and I need to do is we need to get good old Cristobal onto the phone and be like, "Hey,
get us,
big man, let us stream these. Let us stream these matches on Volleyball Source, and we'll get you them views."
That is a great idea. All right, you want to move on to the Italian Women's League, because there's really not that much more to say about the SuperLega?
No, not much more to say, and there's been some spicy things happening in the women's side. First and foremost, you got to see that there is no more undefeated teams in the SuperLega. Down goes Conegliano as they fall to Scandici. You see there 3-0. Damn.
I'm not concerned about this for Conegliano. It's important to point out that they played the bench.
Yeah. Okay.
Isabel Hawk did not play. Catherine Plummer did not play. That's very important to know. I think that Conegliano was kind of punting this game to rest up for maybe a week before they go to Turkey to play the Club World Championship. And I don't disagree with that at all. We kind of saw the same thing for Conegliano last year when they were on the crazy win streak, although it was literally 7 times as many matches won in a row than Conegliano's, whatever it was, 9-0 start. Mm-hmm. But the pressure that was lifted off of last year's team once they did lose a match really made a positive difference for them. And I think that this doesn't hurt them at all, and maybe even helps them, Conegliano speaking, going into the Club World Championship next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point for them, the eyes is all on the Club World Championships. And I have to say, as we're going to get into it a little bit later, the women's side of the Club World Championships is much more legitimate with some actual contenders. We'll get onto the wacky men's side in a little bit. So yeah, 100%. If they're going to punt it and get ready for that rematch against any of those Turkish teams, because Turkey's been a bloodbath so far, why not? Let's do it. Let's get ready for a show next week.
Yep, I agree. I'm cool with this. Scandici, by the way, got to give them credit. Again, without Ophelia Malinov, Zhu Ting was amazing. 17 for 33, no errors, 52% efficiency, 3 blocks, and an ace. That's absolutely gnarly. Antropova came in for a slumping Mingardi, played great. Haley Washington looked great. They were kind of moving things around at the other outside hitter. Didn't even need Elena Pietrini and still won 3-0. So good for Scandici, but I think this was a punt by Conegliano, like you said.
Actually, we are getting in the chat. Gussie Pussy, 1995. Conegliano was sick. Hack and Plummer had fevers. Volleyball and Cook were sick too, but played anyways.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
a little bit of a flu game over there for Volleyball and Cook. Well,
this is why is that not widely broadcast information? Why do we not know that? Why is volleyball media not covering the fact that there's an illness sweeping through the best team in Italy, and that's why they're not playing their starters? I just assumed that they were resting them. Why don't we know that? God, why is there not a news source?
This is really where we need to be like a DJ, and we just press the 3 boomers in a trench coat button, and an animation comes on to because it permeates head down. Trust me, this buffoonery, it starts at the FIVB, and then it trickles down to the different national federations and to pro leagues and stuff like that. There's this boomer buffoonery that we've seen for so long, and it permeates throughout all of volleyball. Trust me. Rob, I know you're new to like the building of the bureaucracy of the game, but oh yeah, it's not even like salt and pepper, baby. It's just Snow White.
Incredible. Yeah, I actually think I need to make an eternal asset for the show for boom, 3 boomers in a trench coat. Just press a button, play a sound effect. Like
yeah.
God,
like they there's like this like trench coat stumbling across, and they all fell out. It's just like 3 old men in diapers.
If we've got anybody with animation talent watching the show, we might need to put you on that. I wasn't expecting that was where this conversation would go about the Lega Volley Femminile, but that was really the only match to talk about was Conegliano getting 3 donged. Let's look at the standings once again. Conegliano's still pretty comfortably in first place, but what is that? They have 2 matches in hand. Am I reading that correctly? Yeah. I understand they've got to front load their schedule so that they can take a week off for the Club World Championship, but still plenty of chaos going on behind them. Still 2 really bad teams at the bottom. And the one other headline, Everett, that we have to talk about is a very sad one, especially for Americans. Jordan Poulter, the starting setter for Novara, has torn her ACL. So her season is over. That's usually a 9-month recovery at best. So that would put her in August at best to come back and play for the United States, which means she would be missing VNL. Hopefully they can get her back for Olympic qualifiers, but really tough news for one of the best setters in the world.
Yeah, and especially with the ACL, like once again, this isn't the NBA where we've got the best doctors in the world. This isn't the NFL. This is a tough break. And as we saw some people talking about it in the Discord, like, does this spell the end of Jordan Poulter's career? Like, is she ever going to be the player that she was?
I do not want to. I don't want to think about that. But she has had a rough year of injuries. I mean, even looking back to the Olympics last year, she rolled her ankle badly. Was able to come back and play because she hurt herself in pools at the Olympics. Shout outs to American national team trainer Kara Kessin. She's a rock star. Got Jordan back to be able to play in the gold medal match. But then like that, she was not healthy there. She didn't look overwhelmingly healthy at the World Championship for the U.S. this year. No. And now this one, a very major knee injury. So I'm not going to say it's going to be the end of her career, but definitely an uphill battle to recovery. So wishing Jordan our best.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it sucks when you see one of the best go down like that. And it definitely leaves a huge hole in the Team USA whole makeup there. So that's going to be interesting, especially as they host the VNL Finals this year.
And Novara as well. I mean, we've already talked about their lack of a second outside hitter with Mackenzie Adams injured. Now they're going to need to go out to the transfer market and get a setter. Like that's the only way they're gonna at least have a half decent season. And I know they actually played Champions League earlier today, as we'll talk about in a minute. Women's Champions League getting underway, and they won without Poulter, but they're going to need a band-aid on that setter position as well as their outside hitter position.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's a tough one to swallow for both Novara fans and for Team USA fans.
Yeah, that's really a bummer. So, anything else about the Italian Women's League, or should we talk about the Champions League?
No, do we want to hit a quick ad before we do that?
Let's do it.
Let's jump right into the advertisements, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great year, and the anniversary sale is still running. You keep buying and it's still going. So still to this day, if you use the code year1, one word, all caps. You're gonna get 25% off at that volleyball.store. You're gonna get like good like Rob, look good like me. We got the spicy volleyball gear, the 9x9 merch, of course the If You Know You Know series right there in the middle. I don't really need to point it out, but some of you have said, hey, if this stuff was nicer, I'd buy some stuff. And I you know what? I can't even fault you for saying
Fair
that.
enough.
Fair enough. But hopefully we have something to wet your whistle a little bit, as we do have a brand new line, like what we like to call the 9x9 squared series. We got them in t-shirts, we got a crew neck, and we got the hoodie, and they're in a bunch of fun different colors. If on top of what you don't see there's a purple one too. Rob, which color of, first of all, hoodie or crew neck, and then which color do you want?
I really like a crew neck a lot, and either a blue or a green. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
That forest green
Yeah,
that
I
you
like
see
that a lot.
is really, really nice. I might be getting it for myself as well. Although I do that orange one, that
Orange one's
that
kind of fly. Yeah,
it,
orange one pops. I really like it.
yeah, it's kind of fly. So guys, make sure to head over to that volleyball.store. Once again, use the code year1, all caps, to get 25% off your entire order. That's probably only going to be going on for a little bit longer, as I got to make a little bit of money here, guys. But and if you don't want to support us with your hard-earned dollars, that makes sense. We're going through a recession, even though no one will admit it. Head over to, first of all, like this video, guys. We're only at 11 likes. There's 41 watching you, 100 have tuned in. Like, give us a nice little like. It doesn't cost anything. You're already watching. You already like it. And maybe subscribe to the channel. And if you want, become a member to the Volleyball Source YouTube channel. It's only $5.
That would be sweet. No, we've got a lot of good stuff coming out. Every day, I think Everett has no more footage from NORCECA's or the Pan Am Games or whatever it was, and then a new video shows up, and I watch it every time because Volleyball Source baseline footage is the best.
Yeah, that's what great when you have two cameras and you just film one game once and you just edit it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Real quick, just in the chat, any love for Autumn Bailey? Yeah, of course, a lot of love for Autumn Bailey. Girl could help us break through at the VNL Olympics. Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, Autumn Bailey suffered a nasty ACL injury in the summer of 2019 and has never been the same since. Speaking of ACL, so. All right, let's move on now to the CEV Champions League. Do we want to start with the women this week, or do you want to start with the men last week?
Let's catch up on the men. So let's catch up on the men's. So last week we talked about men's Champions League. Last Tuesday we talked about Zaxa versus Trentino, the finals rematch, which Trentino won. So let's see. We talked about JW beating Friedrichshafen. So we're not going to do any of that. The one match I really do want to talk about that we need to catch up on, Everett, is this one. A big, maybe you could argue an upset in Pool B, with the Berlin Recycling Volleys beating Varta Zawiercie. And not only did they beat them for full points. 3-1, 25-21, 20-25, 29-27, 27-25. So a banger of a match. This was very fun to watch, and will totally shake up things in the standings in Pool B. We'll look at the standings in a minute. How about this stat line from Marek Sotola? 21 for 35. 21 for 35. He's on our thumbnail for this episode for a reason. +2 blocks to lead all scorers with 23 points.
Yeah, to be honest, Rob, that's absolutely disgusting. And I think we need to start having the conversation of where does he stand amongst outsides or opposites right now. And I think that like we've been kind of hinting for a while that maybe this Berlin roster isn't up to snuff. And they turned around and shut us all up by beating what is probably arguably the best team in the world in their pool. So do we start looking at, does this win make you look at the Berlin Recycling Volleys in a different light? And does it make you look at Mark Sotola in a different light? From the second one, it's definitely starting to change. It's not that I didn't think he was good before, but I'm starting to really come around to how good he could be.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I am higher on Marek Sotola now than I was. Now, we saw him last year come in for Ben Patch in various different situations and played pretty well. But when I learned that he was going to be like the guy, like the go-to opposite this whole year for Berlin, I just wasn't really that blown away by a team that's usually like making it out of pools in Champions League, because I don't really know Sotola to be a truly world-class opposite. But maybe he's getting there. He's a young kid. I think he's only like 23. I'll double check exactly how old he is. But young kid, clearly the best lefty Czech opposite that I know of, because his main competition is a certain Jana Trava.
Gotta
No
find a way to
contest.
get a dig. Love
No
it.
contest there. I like what I've seen from Sotola. He can carry an offense at the Champions League level, and I was impressed by that. But two things about kind of this match at a more macro level. This is a flash in the pan sort of for Berlin. I mean, Ruben shot 0% efficiency, not good enough. Timothy Carl, fine. Berlin has good middles. We know that. We know their starting setter got hurt, but they're still weak at the outside hitter position. The reason this was a nice win is because Zawiercie is overrated. Zawiercie is overrated. Why are they giving Uros Kovacevic 47 balls? He is not a high volume scorer like that. That is not a sustainable play style for a team that is a legitimate contender in both the Bundesliga and Champions League. That is not a play style that is going to win you any major tournament at any point. You cannot be giving Kovacevic double the balls of your opposite and your other outside hitter.
But he was going for it, though. He hit 53%.
6 errors, passed the ball just okay, served terribly, as Zawiercie did entirely as a team. Their serving numbers were awful. It's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable strategy for them. They've got to feed Krolek more balls. They've got to find the best version of David Konarski in a given match, who's a guy I've never been particularly high on. Kovacevic is not the type of outside hitter that you can give 50 balls a match to and expect to win tournaments. Like, Zawiercie is good. They could still win this pool. They could still be like a semifinal team in the Bundesliga easily, just on talent alone. They've got to figure out the distribution of their offense. I don't like it.
All right, fair enough. Well, regardless, this was a massive win for Berlin.
Huge.
Puts them in the driver's seat to move on to the next round. And honestly, I think it kind of changes my opinion on them a little bit more. And I'm going to be interested to see how they evolve from this win. I think this is the first big win for this group in a while.
It is definitely the first like really big character building win. They've survived some upset attempts in the Bundesliga, several by Lundberg in particular, but this was the first time like punch it above their weight class, and I was impressed by the win. So let's look at their pool, because their pool B, is by far the craziest of any in the men's side of Champions League. Nothing to look at in Pool A, all chalk there, with the exception of Novi Sad beating Montpellier. I was surprised by that. Whatever, not going to impact anything in the long run, but check out Pool B. Crazy competitive. The reason why it's so competitive, not only because Berlin beat Zawiercie, but Halkbank Ankara needed 5 sets to beat Hebar Pazardzik.
That one was a little interesting.
What is up with that?
I mean, hey, Pazardzik, Bulgarian team. Bulgaria, like Bulgarian teams are just one of those teams that they've just got this extra passion meter. You know, those Balkan countries, French Canadians, they're all the same, right? They have this passion meter that sometimes they can just go into the depths and lose in 5. And they're really, really good at it. You know, they just dig a little bit deeper and they get really passionate and they get real fired up and lose in 5. It's the really passionate people's way.
I mean, look at that. They're 0-3, but they've taken 5 sets and they have 2 points. Like, they've got 2 5-set losses against great teams elsewhere in this pool. And I don't know what Halkbank Ankara is doing. They went up 2-0 and fell asleep at the wheel to get this forced to 5.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I feel like that team's a team that has a lot of fun, and sometimes with the teams, like, you know, teams that have a lot of fun, they tend to gets away from them sometimes.
Yeah, that happens. But yeah, I do want to give Pazardzik credit. I mean, back when we were previewing Champions League with Eric Shoji before the season started, he gave them a lot of credit, saying like these are older guys, like a lot of older former Bulgarian national team guys that have been there before. They really know what it takes to get it done at this level. So they're not going to be an easy out in this pool. And yeah, they've made things really interesting. I mean, look at this. It's crazy. 2-1 with 6 points, 2-1 with 5 points, 2-1 with 5 points. So, and we're halfway through Champions League now, because again, you play 6 matches in the 4th round. We're halfway there. It's possible that all 3 of those top 3 teams in Pool B are going to make it out.
Hell, it's even possible that Hebar makes it out.
It is.
They throw in a couple of 3-0 or 3-0 wins, right? Like, they're in there.
Yeah,
I know it's probably not going to happen, but it's still statistically possible.
Totally statistically possible. So let's look at some of the other pools. Pool C, no surprise, Lube perfect with an almost perfect 8 points. Pool D, no surprises there after Trentino beat Zaxa in 4 there with 9 points at the top of the pool. Whatever. Pool E, obviously Perugia's the best team in the world, but there actually is a lot of cannibalism going on beneath that. Zerot beat Ljubljana in 5 the other day, I'm pretty sure.
The more I look at that pool, the more I love it.
Yeah,
Ljubljana, Durin, and Zerot Pankasi.
A lot of scrappy teams.
I absolutely love the fact that Zerot Pankasi is at the bottom. I absolutely love that.
But they, like you said, they could easily still make it out of this
Oh,
pool.
I 100% think they're the best team there. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think that Zerot Pankasi should be coming out number 2. That's why I love that they're down at the bottom.
Yeah, so fun stuff in Champions League. A friendly reminder of the format of the Champions League, and this is important for the women's as well, as we'll talk about in a second. And again, why do we have to dig so far to find this information that they fundamentally changed the format of the best tournament in club volleyball? Why is this not common knowledge? I mean, our boy Louis Lett, who we love, was commentating the Trentino versus Zaxa game last week, and nobody told him. He didn't know that the format had changed this year. Why don't you tell your commentators this information? Why do we have to
you know
dig for
what?
this stuff?
You know what we have, though? We have a drawing of the lots.
No, we don't. Not anymore.
Oh, wait, we don't even have drawing of the lots? So what do we have anymore?
That's what I'm saying.
Come on.
We don't have drawing of lots, not in Champions League, not anymore, not this year. So it's important that we remind everybody of how this is working because everybody is forgetting it, even the commentators on the games. So 11 teams in the bracket this year, way more than the 8 in previous years. If you win your pool, you advance. If you get second in your pool, you advance. Not the case previously. Last year was like the top 3 out of the 5 teams. Not anymore. All 5 second-ranked teams get out. And then there's one more team. It's the top-ranked third-place team also gets into the elimination round. And there's the bracket there. The seeds are predetermined. No drawing of lots. We already know exactly who will play who based on rankings after the 6 matches of pool play is over. So that's going to create some posturing for position because Everett, if you're a team that is trying to make it out of your pool and is trying to go in Champions League, who would you not want to see in the first round?
Perugia.
That's exactly right. So if Perugia is going to end up being the top-ranked first-place team in their pool, which right now on set record in points they are going to be, you do not want to be on that top part of the bracket playing with them in the second round. You do not want to be the 3rd or 4th ranked out of the second-place teams because even if you win that first round, you're going to play Perugia. You don't want that. So without drawing of lots, we know what the seeds are. We are going to start seeing teams really watch what's going on elsewhere in the standings. You're really going to see that. It's just like the World Championship earlier this year when the USA got screwed by having to play Poland twice. It's the same thing. When the seeds are predetermined, teams know that, and teams are going to be looking at what positions they're in. So it's really important to remind people of the new Champions League bracket format for this year.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, to be honest, I don't even mind it.
I like it. I think it's awesome.
Let's add a little bit of drama. Let's add a little spiciness.
I love it. I think it's way better. Way better. I hate drawings of lots. I hate it.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I mean, Rob, do you want to see if we can go to the Champions League Finals?
Final? Yes, I would love to. I wonder where it's going to be. They haven't announced that yet. Oh, yeah, it's crazy that like we already know where the entire VNL is going to be, but we don't know where Champions League Final is going to be.
That is weird. That volleyball is weird, man.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
All right.
I wonder that every day.
If you need more info about the Champions League format, God knows you're not going to find it on the CEV website. So let us know in the Discord, and I'll at least send you this graphic. It's a nice little reference. Why did I have to make this? I made this. Why doesn't the CEV have this? Crazy. All right. Let's talk about Women's Champions League, shall we?
Sure.
Unbelievable. All right. Women's Champions League is here. The Women's Champions League is back, and it started today. So the 4th round of the Women's Champions League started today. We only had a couple matches, and there was really nothing very notable. Novara beat Potsdam 3-1. Rzeszów beat Mulhouse 3-0, and Fenerbahce beat Tenerife 3-0. So nothing else there, but I do kind of want to go over the pools on the women's side a little
real quick. We just talked about like why do you have to go out like this? They don't even have the proper pools. Like
Nope.
Pool C still has the winner. Pool D still has winner. Come on, CV.
I looked for
I know
about
Dan
half
isn't
an hour.
around anymore. I know, like, that's why I'm laughing about it, because I know you did the research
Yeah,
on
I
it.
looked for so long to find an
Come
updated
on.
graphic that actually has the pools populated with the play-in teams, but couldn't find one. I had to go all the way back to their stupid drawing of lots to find this graphic. So we'll talk you through it, even though it's not correct. God. All right, Pool A. Let's go down and talk about the Champions League pools a little bit. Again, without Russian teams in the field this year, the field overall is weaker, and most pools have one clear favorite, but there are a couple that'll be more fun. So Pool A, you've got Conegliano. They're an absolute wagon, but you got to remember that Rzeszów is good.
Rzeszów's good. Yeah.
They're good. They might be the best team in Poland, and they beat Vakif Bank last year. So good stuff there in Pool A, but clearly a two-horse race. And Mulhouse from France, and who's this Vasas team? Who are they? What league do they play in? Hungary. They're a Hungarian team. If only we knew that. All right, great. So there's a Hungarian team in Champions League. Cool, good for them. They get a nice thanks for participating designation in Pool A. How about Pool B? You want to talk about Pool B?
100%. I mean, at least we know all the teams in Pool B.
Yes, we do.
Monza coming in at the top there. That team's going to be really interesting as they add Jordan Lyerson, but really just nothing else after that.
Yeah,
Valero Le Canet, not too bad coming out of France. Blaj from
I think
Romania.
Alba Blaj is Romanian, right?
Yeah, Blaj is Romanian. That's a team that's been there before. And I mean, the Romanian league is all right. I mean, but the fact that you've got two teams from Romania in the Champions League, I think, is a little weak. And then you have Prometey out of Ukraine. I didn't know the Ukrainian league was still running. Good for them if they are.
So it's interesting because they're a Ukrainian team, but they're playing in the Czech league. So kind of similar to how Barkom Lviv is playing in the Plus Liga on the men's side. So we've got a Ukrainian team. They're playing the regular season in the Czech league, but they're representing Ukraine in Champions League, which is cool. So I'm glad they get that opportunity. But again, thanks for participating. They're not
honestly like for me. I think Pool C gets shafted the most as we see Vakif Bank, the defending champs, Novara, who even without Jordan Poulter, they're still good. Potsdam, which is a solid club, coming in
pretty good.
Like, and if you're Potsdam, you're looking at these other pools, and you're like, bro, put me in pool B, right? And I can get out of that.
Oh, they would easily be the second best team in Pool B, but now they're really going to have an uphill battle getting out of Pool C, especially because they played Novara today and only took one set but couldn't get any points.
Yeah, that's definitely. Who's the fourth team in that pool?
La Laguna Tenerife. They're a team from the Canary Islands in Spain. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I think they got smacked by Scandicci in like the Challenge Cup finals last year.
Yeah, they did get smacked by Scandicci, and we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, what was there to talk about?
Yeah, what is there to talk about? Like, it doesn't make sense. So yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about Pool D. Pool D's got Fenerbahce. We know about Fenerbahce. They won the Turkish Super Cup already this year. They're one of those like big three baller teams in the Turkish league. Oh wait, also I was wrong about the last team in Pool D. La Laguna is in Pool D. La Laguna Tenerife is in Pool D because they lost to Fenerbahce today. The last team in Pool C
Beograd
is a Serbian team.
Okay.
Cervena Zvezda. So, all right, whatever. But Group D is kind of fun because you have Stuttgart from Germany, who's typically pretty good, and then Łódź from Poland, who might actually be the best team in Poland. And according to someone in the chat, they beat Rzeszów recently in the Polish Women's League. So this pool I expect to be kind of fun. I think Fenerbahce, of those like clear one seeds, is the most beatable. I don't think,
especially in that pool too, with Łódź and Stuttgart. I think those are both two solid teams. I'm pretty sure we've seen big upsets from German teams in the past few versions of the Champions League, especially in pool play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another one here this time.
Yeah. So Pool D and Pool C, I think have three good teams in them, or three like competitive teams in them. So Łódź plays Stuttgart this week. That's going to be good. I wonder if that's tomorrow or Thursday. Let me check. It's tomorrow. A bunch of matches tomorrow, none of them on Thursday. So a lot of volleyball tomorrow. So that's Pool D. And then last but not least, Pool C. You've got Eczacıbaşı from Turkey, who's awesome. They're back in Champions League. And then you've got Chemek Police, Polish team who I think that they make it out of pools in Champions League most years. I think
There's traditionally the top team coming out
Right.
of Rzeszów, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they've won the Torrenliga for the past number of years.
Yeah, they win. They win every year. I think they've won
Yeah.
like 8 out of 9 or something crazy.
It's truly been between like Rzeszów has really been trying to knock them off, but they haven't been able to. And Lodz is definitely in there in the Torrenliga. We need to watch. I watched a lot more Torrenliga when it was just on. I had the Plusliga app for a while. I watched way more. I need to watch more.
Yeah, there's some good volleyball going on in the Polish women's league, but it's not like the same. It's not like the clear second best league in the world like the men's Plusliga is. So a little different story.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, I mean, 2-horse race in this pool. I mean, Plovdiv out of Bulgaria, thanks for participating. Targoviste, I guess they're Romanian as well. Also, thanks for participating. I expected Zajabasha to maybe even make the finals. That's how good I think that team is.
Oh, absolutely. You have arguably the best player in the world right now. Like with the way that Boskovic has been playing, and she's a world champion, and she's the MVP, and everything. Like, how can you not say she's arguably the best player in the world right now? Agonu didn't win. Agonu didn't win the Champions League last year. Agonu didn't win the World Club Championships last year, right? What has Agonu won since that big spree? You know, like, she was on top for a bit. Now I think Boskovic is on top. So yeah, I 100% think that Zasabasha is one of the teams to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think they'll have no problem with Himik Police in their pool. I think that's probably looking at a 6-0 team. So again, we'll follow 100%. Along with Women's Champions League. The rest of week 1 is all going down tomorrow, but you got to keep this bracket in mind, because just like the men's world championship, when it was similar, how every single match, every set, every point mattered a lot, it's going to matter the same for bracket seeding and Champions League on both the men's and the women's side. So too early to really talk about that on the women's, but just keep it in mind, because even for those teams that are the best teams in their pool, they've got to be pretty darn perfect to get those better seeds when it comes down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, just about that Romanian team, Targoviste. Big shout out to Canadian national team setter Kim Robitaille, who is going to be a part of that team, and she'll be making her Champions League debut demain.
Love it. Love North Americans playing in Champions League. We should put together a more comprehensive list of that. Actually, our boy Blair Lambert, shout out to Blair Lambert, he writes for Volleyball magazine. He does a good job of documenting at least the American players that are playing overseas and in big tournaments. So check out Volleyball Mag. Anything else about Women's Champions League before we get to talk about our favorite tournament in volleyball, Everett?
No, absolutely not. Let's jump into the most useless tournament in volleyball.
The Club World Championship. All right. So back with another year of this stupid waste of space tournament. The Men's Club World Championship starts tomorrow. It's going down in Brazil. It calls itself a World Championship tournament, yet it's played every year. It features only 6 teams, and 3 of them are Brazilian.
What are we got 3 countries represented right now?
We have 3 countries represented.
We don't have the European champions, right?
Because Zaxa for the second year in a row chose not to go. They're like,
North America is just punted. Screw you, North America. We don't care about you.
Unbelievable. And it's the worst format ever. It's the stupid Final 6 format that we've gotten used to the last bunch of years. God, I hate this tournament so much. Well, we might as well at least just tell people at least how it works before we totally clown on it. So Pool A, you've got Perugia. We all know how good they are. We've got Sada Cruzeiro. They did win this tournament last year, to their credit. And then we've got Renata. So Renata, the second place team in Brazil right now. Great, whatever. Cool. I think that Perugia's going to smoke both of them. I hope that Perugia versus Sada Cruzeiro in pools is at least a little bit competitive. But
I hope. I want Lopez to go off. That's all I want. Right, yeah, Lopez at a disappointing. Ronnie, I'm talking to you specifically right now. Lopez at a disappointing World Championships. I want Lopez to go off. That's all I want. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah. Continue. Hopefully, I hope my screen share is working decently. Yep. Here, great. Here's the volley box on Sada Cruzeiro. This is a good roster. Nicolas Uriarte, former Argentinian national team setter. He's awesome. Wallace on the right side. Lopez and Rodriguinho on the left. Same duo that won it last year. Lopez was the MVP. Otavio in the middle is really good. And then Lucas Lucas Satkamp has never played for Sada Cruzeiro before in his career. He was always kind of a Sessi Sao Paulo guy, and then that 1 year at Modena. But finally, probably the best middle in Brazilian history is playing for their best club team. And then I don't know who either of the liberos are, but this roster is pretty good. I don't think they're Perugia good, but they're pretty darn good. And I'm excited to see them at least see what the best of the Brazilian league has to offer. So
they're pretty darn good playing at home because this tournament is in Brazil,
yes.
correct?
Yes, it
so
is.
They're pretty darn good playing at home. And I think that's the most important thing, right? And that's what we've seen time and time with this event, where the European teams go over and maybe play a little bit lesser to their abilities because, the not playing at home and everything. So I still think this is a decent squad by Sada Cruzeiro. It's not up there like the other years that they've had in the past, but you still got some of the best players in the world out there, so it should be fun.
Yeah, I think they can at least make some noise. I'm excited to watch Sada Cruzeiro. Renata, on the other hand, I'm pulling up their roster right now. Really nobody that I recognize other than Nicolas Lazo is like a backup Argentinian outside hitter. And then this Felipe Roque character is some gigantic, like 2 meters 12 guy on the right side. But I don't recognize anybody else in this roster.
Fair enough. They got second. No, how did they?
I think they're technically hosting because I think that like the way that you get burst into this tournament, it's like the top 2 teams from Europe, the top 2 teams from South America, the top team from Asia, and then the host. So I think that Renata counts as the host because Sada Cruzeiro and then Minas, the other Brazilian team that we'll talk about in a minute, I think they got top 2 at the South American Club Championship last year. But it's crazy that we have 3 Brazilian teams in this tournament. It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, we all know why, though. Drop a little bit of money. None of the other teams want to go. Like, why not?
So stupid.
Yeah.
All right, Pool B. You got Trentino in Pool B. We know them. They're good. They're going to sweep through this pool, no problem. We've got this Iranian team, PyCon, who I know nothing about.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, PyCon is the team that lost to Trinity Western back in 2012. Trinity Western got 27 blocks against them back in 2012. This is the 100% that team does exist.
Yeah, so this is the team that went out last year and picked up Namir Abdelaziz, Irvin Ingapet, Maroof, absolutely went and sold the house just to win the Asian Club Championship. So they brought in those guys for a week last year. They won the Asian Club Championship, and that's why they're in this tournament. But obviously they're not going to bring back any of those guys because they're playing real volleyball in real countries. So I do think that our boy Amin Esmailnejad, the lefty from Iran's World Championship team, is on this roster, at least according to the Volleyball World website. They've got Hazratpour, the national team libero, and Vadi, the national team setter, but that's it. They have no middles or no outsides that I recognize, so I don't have very high hopes for that team.
Yes, PyCon is the team that lost to Trinity Western back in 2012.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they beat Minas, that might be competitive, but they'll get smoked by Trentino for sure. As for Minas, let's check out their roster. Mostly Brazilians. We've got the legendary William Arjona setting. He's, how old is he? 42, 43?
He's getting 79.
What a monster. Same age as Rafael, I think, who's setting for Verona. Amazing.
Oh, man.
Got a bunch of Brazilian dudes, including Visotto, legendary big opposite there, who I've never liked very much, that I've been clowned for disliking Visotto for a while, but he's there.
One person to point out there, number 19, he's a 2004 on this roster. That's Arthur Bento. So we've talked about him before. He's the Canadian kid. As you see, Aurora Storm right there. That's just north of here in Toronto. He's the Canadian kid that basically Team Canada turned down because he was too good and too young, and we just didn't know what to do with him. So we just sent him back to Brazil. Great. And now he's playing at the World Club Championships, and he's probably going to start for them. And he was the captain for the junior national team. So yeah, he was as I said, I just did all of those highlights from the Pan Am Cup, and he was hands down their best player at the Pan Am Cup. And he's gonna be someone to watch. So I wouldn't be.
And he wanted to play for the Canadian national team, and Volleyball Canada said no, thank you.
Yep. God. Yep. Pretty much. That's pretty much how it goes. I remember I used to beg his mom. I was like, he's Canadian, right? And she's like, yes, don't worry, he plays for Canada. And then I was like, Adriana, what happened? And she goes, we tried, we tried, but they wouldn't take him. He said he was too young. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna go Brazil. So
he's
yeah,
doing.
Arthur Bento is going to be one to watch. He's a kid that I love. I'm going to love to see succeed, and he's going to be very, very good. Also, Austin Wilmot. Who is that?
So we've second year in a row, we've got a random, well, not so random to me, but we've got an American VLA middle playing in the World Club Championship for a Brazilian team. Last year was Pat Gassman for Funvik. This year, Austin or AJ Wilmot. He graduated from Pepperdine about a year ago. He was on that Emiola team that won the VLA Cup last year. He's really good. He's big. He's like 6'10", super long, good attacking range. I've been talking to him a lot since he's been down in Brasilia this year. And this Minas team is good. They're third right now, but they're like basically dead tied with Renata. There's really only 3 teams that matter in the Brazilian league. So this Minas team is pretty good, and AJ Wilmot is very, very good. I like him, and I expect him to start.
Austin, it's weird that he wasn't on that Pan Am team. That
I am surprised that he was not on that Pan Am team.
Like you had Pat Gassman, but you didn't have Austin Wilmot. Like they could have used him too.
Yeah, they could have.
Maybe a bit of Tyler Mitchum in there as well too, just to get some legs under him. But yeah, all right, Austin Wilmot going to be.
And, Mikey Nascimento, one of their national team liberos, plays in this Minas team, and then Luis Eliana Estrada is. I don't know very much about him. I know he was a backup on Modena for a little bit, but I just kind of see him on Instagram everywhere.
Yeah, Ronnie, can you come in here and chime in because he's Cuban, right? So. He's 100% Cuban. So
yeah, he's Cuban for sure.
Ronnie, let us know. He's been to Modena. It seems like he was supposed to be one of those guys who's supposed to be really good. Just now he's just on Instagram.
Seems like there's a bunch of those Cuban dudes. All right, let's talk about the format of this tournament. I mean, it's the worst. You've got that stupid 3-team pool play. So this tournament starts tomorrow, by the way. Here are the times on the screen. The times on the screen are in my local time, which is American Central Time. So add a hour onto this if you're Eastern, subtract 2 hours if you're on the West Coast, or just go to the website yourself. So you've got round robin pools Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then you've got semifinals on Saturday, December 10th, and finals or medal matches Sunday, December 11th.
Are you commentating any of this?
I'm not commentating any of this. God knows Clayton Lucas wouldn't give up the opportunity to sit at home and not talk, but get paid to commentate those matches all himself. So that's what I expect. Sada Cruzeiro versus Perugia on Friday is actually a good one, and it's weird for us North Americans that these are actually in like prime time and like the evening for us, which is not very normal. So I actually like this.
Do you want to watch some of these games, Rob? Like,
yeah, I do. I'm looking forward to definitely like Cruzeiro versus Perugia on Friday is going to be really fun. And when Perugia beats them, Sada Cruzeiro will probably play Trentino on Saturday, and that's going to be fun as well. So
yeah, there's going to be some fun matches. And I know we clown on this tournament, but it's a good opportunity for us to watch on Volleyball World TV. And so, yeah, we're going to be watching all of it.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching all of it, but we just hate fundamentally the fact that it's called a world championship tournament and it's played every year. It only has 6 teams and represents 3 countries. That is not a world championship. It's not.
No, it's just garbage.
It's the worst.
Yeah. It's just volleyball in a nutshell. That's exactly what it is.
It's the worst. So we'll catch up on it next week. We'll know the winner, and then the Women's Club World Championship follows immediately behind it. So we'll talk about that on next week's show, which hopefully should be a slightly better tournament than this one. Can we move on to a couple other quick headlines, Everett, before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I know, Gussie Pussies. It's not something we're trying not to do that. We're trying to be nice, but it's hard to be nice.
It's hard to be nice. It's hard to be nice.
It's hard to be nice when you're on the sidelines begging for a chance to muteless wonders.
Ridiculous. All right.
Walking onomatopoeias, whatever.
Walking onomatopoeia. I like that. Let's talk about the Plusliga. Let's talk about the Plusliga because there are a couple headlines here. So last week, as you have the standings on your screen there, last week we told you there were 2 coaches fired. Warszawa fired their coach, and also Charny Radom, who's the second to last team in the league. They fired their coach, but they did something very interesting in finding their new head coach. That's that they pulled a player straight off the roster and promoted him immediately to be the head coach of the team. Pavel Wojcicki, one of their much older backup setters, was immediately promoted straight off the bench he was a player and was immediately promoted to be the head coach of his team in the middle of the season, which I can't say I've ever heard before. I think that is actually a first. But
I've never heard of it in I've heard of it in like a crappy league, like
yeah,
teams
but
like
this is the
playing in like
Blues League.
Denmark and stuff like that. Like guys will be like coming home and be like, yeah, you know, my coach quit for quit halfway through the season because he was sleeping with the team owner's wife. So yeah, my buddy John just took over the team and we won the championship. Denmark was great. Sorry, Denmark.
Unbelievable. So anyway, this Wojcicki guy, who's like a veteran setter, he has been coaching a little bit with the Polish national team in an assistant role, but like his goal, he was on this Charny Radom team to be the backup setter, and they're like, oh, we actually need a coach. Surprise, here you go. So they bring up.
Do you think like I feel like this is okay? There's either two situations. One, this is a Jeff Saturday situation where all of a sudden,
Kind of like that, yeah.
You know, like Jim Irsay just comes in your office like, hey, you want to coach an NFL team? I got a pretty good one. Come up here and do it. Either you know, a little less Texas draw and a little bit more Polish, or it's just been building up. And like, was it Naruki who was
Nawrocki was the guy that they fired. Yeah.
And I mean, like, let's be honest, he's been fired from place to place to place to place.
Yes,
so I wonder if there was almost a subplot being like, look, we're gonna bring him in for a little bit. He'll coach his one game versus Skra. He'll go out on top and happy, and then we'll sack him and we'll get your coaching career. Capiche, capiche. You know. Those are the two situations in my head.
I could see either one. So welcome Wojcicki to the new head coaching job of Charny Radom. Radom also went out and picked up my boy, friend of the program. I believe he watches the show, American setter Matt West.
Ooh,
last year he was the backup on Berlin. He was hanging around with, I think it was Gießen in the German league. But Radom paid him to come over and be their backup setter. So shout outs to Matt West. I love that guy. I love his game. And then I'm pointing in the chat, is exactly what I was going to bring up. Since making that move to fire Nawrocki, Charny Radom has been playing better, much better. They pushed Zaksa to 5 the other day, and like they couldn't win it in the 5th set. And Zaksa's struggles are documented, but that's still an extremely good team that I don't expect Radom to be beating in any way ever. And they took him to 5, so maybe a little bit of youth or a guy that really, really knows the locker room because he was part of it less than a week ago. Maybe that is the head coach. Maybe it's working out for him. So kind of a cool story.
See what happens when you kick the boomers out of the trench coat.
Hey,
good things happen. Good things happen.
Kick the boomers out of the trench coat.
Kick the boomers out of the trench coat. It needs to happen.
So the only other thing we got to talk about in the Plusliga is that Jastrzębski Węgiel has lost again, Everett. 2 weeks in a row where we're talking about a JW loss. They lose in 5 to Skra Belchatov, which is like certainly not a shameful match to lose, but all of a sudden the top of the standings are a lot closer than they were before.
Like last year, like in years past, you'd be like, oh yeah, losing to Skra, that's not so bad. But like this year, Skra doesn't really like. Okay,
they're starting Filippo Lanza at outside hitter.
Like you got Lucas Vecina, Filippo Lanza, and like Alexander Stanisiewicz. Like, you know, this isn't the Skra that we've known in the past.
But you know who still plays for Skra?
Matej
Bieniek. You want to hear this stat line? Oh my god, I'm just reading this for the first time. This is absolutely insane. Oh my god, 17 for 22 attacking with no errors. 77% efficiency, 17 for 22 attacking with no errors, 5 blocks and an ace. That is absolutely absurd.
Middle blocker 22 attempts. I mean, it makes sense, especially when you see the geriatrics around him.
That's outrageous.
You know, one of them has great hair, the other one has none. But like Mateusz Bieniek, like, wow, 22 attempts. I know it was a 5-setter, but still 22 attempts. Yeah. That's all.
Bieniek's awesome. He's the best player on that team by far.
100%.
So I agree with Feed and Rock. Also important to note, Go See Pussy in the chat is beating us to every one of our headlines. Benjamin Toniuti's hurt. He didn't play. It was Finnish setter Amy Tervaporti the whole time for JW. Then Stefan Boyer wasn't great. He got benched for Jan Hadrava, who ripped 8 aces, which is insane, and they still lost in 5.
That's crazy. But real talk, Gussie Pussy, you want a job? Like,
yeah, dude,
seriously,
thank you for being active. And
this entire chat is literally him saying exactly what we're about to say every single time. Like. Do you want to be a researcher for us? Like, come on. Like, literally, you know everything that's going on.
Yeah, DM us on either Instagram at 9x9 volleyball or one of our individual Instagrams or on Discord. Talk to us. We'll get you involved. I'm impressed.
Yeah, for sure. Where are you from? Like, I can't know. I think he says he's Italian, but really? Still, just Yeah, he said something earlier up. He said like I read it in Italian media.
Oh, that just means he's looking in the right places. It doesn't mean he's Italian. I mean, to read about that Stephen Marr headline earlier, I had to read it on a Russian website. That was the only place it was reported. Ridiculous.
All
All right.
Well,
Let's talk about a couple more things before we wrap up the show. Last week, we previewed the NCAA women's volleyball tournament. 64 teams in the American University playoffs are down to 16. So we've got the Sweet 16, as we always call it in these American college tournaments. And there were absolutely no upsets in making it to the round of 16, except for one. Your girl, Caitlin Genovi, and the Houston Cougars. They advance as a 5 seed. So they're going to take on Stanford. They're the only seed that's not chalk. Every other region was seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 making it to the Sweet 16. But
I do think that the upset there was Auburn taking down Creighton.
Good point.
Who were the hosts.
Yeah.
All credit going to the Houston Cougars. Not only are they the lowest or the highest, whatever you want to call it, seed to make it through. They also had the most viral clip of the weekend of that amazing play from the libero who dove into the table, and it's been everywhere. Like even TSN and ESPN is posting it.
Awesome clip. Go look it up. It was as good of like a libero putting her body on the line as I've ever seen, and then they ended up winning the point, which is even better.
Yeah. So big ups to the Houston Cougars for getting through that first round. Like that's a program that hasn't been to the dance since 1999. Now they win that first round. They get to go take on Stanford. And if you're going to lose at the tournament, you might as well do it against Stanford in Palo Alto.
So I'm glad you brought that up because here's the schedule for this week's games. They're Thursday. All the Sweet 16 games are Thursday, so that's 8 matches on Thursday, which is crazy. And then all of the Elite 8 games are on Saturday. So I know a couple years ago there was a lot of complaining that those 2 matches are being played back to back. They're giving them a day break this year, which is good. So on Saturday is going to be must watch. It's all on ESPNU in the States, and join the Discord. We'll try and help you find ways to watch these matches. It's getting good at this point. These teams are really, really good by now.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm not so stoked about on the women's, like where the women's tournament isn't quite like men's basketball, is that first round doesn't have much hype. You don't get too many upsets in the first round. There's just not enough quality to get through, like especially when you're talking about like a 464 team bracket. But once you get down to like what we're down to 16 now.
Yeah.
Like once you're down to this, like this is where shit gets good. Like honestly, looking at this docket, there's not one match that I don't want to watch. Right? There's not one match that has like a little bit of intrigue. Man, Saturday is going to be fantastic. You've got 2 sick World Cup games going on, like England versus France, and then all of this.
Talk about soccer on this show. I was in such a good mood. I hate that sport so much.
I mean, hey, at least the Packers beat the Bears this weekend.
That is right. I guess they did. Yeah. Well, Saturday is just a good volleyball day.
100%.
Yeah. 4 Elite 8 games. Got Club World Championship semifinals for what it's worth. I'm sure there are games going on in all Europe. So that's cool. The NCAA tournament is cool. You should watch it if you can. We'll help you in the Discord figure out ways to watch it. But yeah, Everett, I agree with you. All 8 of those games on Thursday are all interesting enough to warrant watching. All of them are very, very good. Penn State, Wisconsin in particular jumps off for me as a Big Ten guy.
100%.
Ohio State, Minnesota as well. Like Hugh McCutcheon's college coaching career could end any day now.
Yeah,
absolutely. His last season. So a lot of good stuff. Very fun tournament.
Yeah, 100%. As we said, Caitlin Genovi and the Houston Cougars taking on number 1 Stanford. And once Genovi's done, she's agreed to come back and do some more NCAA stuff because she's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to NCAA. And that's
good.
Rob, if there's one area that we don't do great in, it's women's NCAA.
Right. And I think there is some coverage out there for the women's NCAA, but
there is.
We could do it more during the regular season. There's just so much. There's so many teams.
If someone wants to be a full-time NCAA reporter, commentator, or whatever for us next season, let us know. Hit us in the chat.
I'm trying hard to break in to get to commentate some games here in the States. It's been difficult, but that would be a big break for me to get a lot more consistency doing a lot of those games because there's so many of them. So yeah, NCAA is cool. Check out the games Thursday and Saturday. A couple more headlines there, then the show's pretty much done. One, we want to follow along with the coaching search for the Turkish women's national team because we know no more Giovanni Guidetti. Now, we talked about they were trying to go after Ferhat Akbaş, the guy who's coaching in Eczacıbaşı, but he took the Croatian job. There's some weird stuff going on there. The latest rumor is that they're going to try and go poach the reigning world champion head coach. They're going to go try and grab Daniele Santarelli from the Serbian women's team to the tune of €200,000. Pretty compelling, if I do say so myself.
Pretty compelling, considering that he does coach for Conegliano during the regular season, and you know he's probably getting paid a pretty penny over there as well. And I mean, hey, like, why not? But my question is, does Santarelli want to leave what he's built with Serbia and to go into a situation where is far more volatile with significantly less skill?
Right.
Significantly less skill. I'm sorry, but just like player per player, like those two teams don't match up. And there's a reason that they're the two-time defending world champions and that Turkey hasn't been able to get themselves on a podium, right? There's just the quality of the roster isn't there. And
yeah, I mean, he's obviously got Tijana Boskovic on the Serbian team, but I agree with you. The rest of that team is better than the rest of the Turkish team. I completely agree. And so, it seems to me like Santarelli, I mean, right now it's pretty clear that he's the best coach in volleyball on either side. I think his track record with Conegliano speaks for itself. Him winning, the most impressive thing for me was Santarelli taking third at VNL with Serbia last year without Boskovic on the team. That was an awesome coaching performance. And so it's either him or De Giorgi of the Italian men's team. Like those are the two best coaches in the world right now. So I if I'm Santarelli, I don't know if I want to leave what he's got with Serbia. I think he's got a pretty good deal going. Maybe he could leverage that to get more money out of him. But I think the Serbian job is both more secure and prime for more immediate success than the Turkish job.
100%. Your YouTube comments aren't going to get flooded anywhere you go, right?
Like I would not want to have to deal with Turkish media all the time. That would
because
be
like look at what happened with
Guidetti. Yeah,
Guidetti at the end, taking shots at players in the media and stuff like that. Like that's just very unlike him. And for he was so beloved in that country, and it just ended on such a fiery ending. So yeah, does Santa really want to go there? I don't think he does.
Last but not least, a couple weeks ago, Everett, maybe a month or two ago, like early club season, we talked about a headline that we were reading on World of Volley. It was like this Hungarian female opposite in the Korean women's league that racked up 100 attempts, which was ridiculous. And we thought that would maybe never be done again and never be broken. Sure enough, it was.
A few weeks later.
Absolutely insane. So there's a Chinese female opposite by the name of Miao Yuwen, who plays for this Sichuan team, who apparently is not very good. And they beat this Hainan team, who's also not very good, in 5, 16-14 in the 5th. And Miao Yuwen went 37 for 110. They gave her 110 balls. 37 kills, 8 errors, blocked 11 times, 16.4% efficiency. Not great, but 110 attempts.
I remember back a number of years ago, a legendary Maple volleyball, the name of Dallas Sunius.
I love Dallas Sunius, the old lefty. I remember him.
Yeah, Dallas Sunius, my man, played in China. And I remember him telling me, he's like, dude, I just show up and I'm playing with literally a bunch of high schoolers, and that he's just like every ball, they're just chucking it up to him. So as soon as I saw this headline, I thought of Dallas, long hair and all, just getting chucked hundreds of balls on the right side because he's literally playing with high schoolers. And I'm sure if we had video of it, that's what it would.
Gotta be something similar here. I mean, I hope the paychecks are worth it. I know some of those East Asian leagues that they pay that one banger a lot of money to take 110 swings a game, but this is absolutely insane. But my shoulder would fall off. I can't even think about that number.
But I mean, like, she's Chinese, right? So she wouldn't be allowed. Like, is she getting paid more? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really want to step into that whole world of politics. I don't know how any of that works. So we'll stay with that. But still, 110 attempts in a match is a lot. But what gets me more is that she was only 37 for 110. Like, it's not like she was.
How bad's the rest of your team? If like you're giving this girl 110 balls and she's not really even putting them away for you.
Right. Once again, probably playing with high schoolers.
Probably. So that was crazy. We thought we would share it with you guys, but I think that's about it for the show. A lot going on there. So enjoy Well, enjoy Club World Championship as best as physically possible. Enjoy NCAA. Enjoy Poland, Germany, Italy, wherever you're watching volleyball this week. And join the Volleyball Source Discord. The link is in the description for that to talk about all the volleyball going on this week. That's where it's going down. So get in there, and I think we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, make sure you head over to thatvolleyball.store to pick up your brand new 9x9 squared merch. I'm stoked for it.
Really cool logo. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get one of those. So
That's
check out the store. Check us out. Subscribe to Volleyball Source, and we'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Peace.